Assalamu alaikum, my everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'll be sharing an updated video on how to cut and sew jilbab. I've had a lot of questions concerning this, so I decided to do like a step-by-step guide on the cutting and sewing of jilbabs.
A little heads up, that's the final outcome of our tutorial, and this tutorial is going to be different from my normal tutorial because it is more explanatory.
I have so many other videos on how to make jilbabs, so if you haven't checked that out, you can check it out on my channel, and I'll link it somewhere on the screen here. So today's video is going to be packed with the measurements needed, the fabrics, and also the cutting and the sewing. So talking about the measurement, the four basic measurements that are needed for sewing jilbab is our front jilbab length, our back jilbab length, our head circumference, and also our sleeve length. So what I mainly do is that I use people's height to get their jilbab length. So let's say, for example, I'm working with someone that is like 5'3". So I'm going to use myself as a case study. I'm about 5 feet 3 inches. So in inches, that's about 63 inches. So that means for my front jilbab length, I'll be making use of 63 inches. And then for my back jilbab length, I'll just go ahead and add 10 inches to it to form my back jilbab length. And then I'll be using about 73 inches for my back jilbab length. So for most adults, adding about 10 inches to their height is actually going to work well for their back jilbab length for most times, like for majority of times. So the next thing I'm going to do is to take my head circumference. So to take my head circumference, I will just take my tape round my face opening to take my head circumference. So most time is about 20 inches for me. And then the next measurement is the sleeve measurement, and that is taken from the midpoint of the head down to the wrist, from the midpoint of the head down to the wrist, and that's going to give you your sleeve measurement. So that's the basic four measurements we need for sewing a basic jilbab.
For more context, I'm going to be doing more explanation. So if I'm like 5 feet 3 inches, if we actually do the conversion of that to inches, it's going to be like 63 inches. So that means for my front jilbab length, I'm going to be working with 63 inches. And in centimeter, I'm about 160 centimeter. So that means my front jilbab length is going to be 63 inches, or in centimeter is going to be 160 centimeter. Then for my back length, I'm going to go ahead and add 10 inches to my front length. So that will be 63 plus 10 inches. So that means for my back jilbab length, I'm going to be having 73 inches. And if I'm working with centimeter, I'm going to be adding my front length plus 25 centimeter. So that means for my back length, I'm going to be having my front length, which is 160 centimeter plus 25 centimeter. And that would be like 185 centimeter. So that's basically how it works for front length of jilbab and also for the back length of jilbab.
So moving on to the fabric, I get asked a lot of times the amount of fabrics needed. So I believe that the amount of fabrics needed for sewing jilbab should be between 4 yards to 5 yards, depending on how tall you are or how short you are. So for somebody like me, I'm like 5 feet 3 inches, I mostly make use of 4 yards to like 4 meter fabrics to sew my jilbab. So if you're around that range, then you should be using like 4 yards or 4 meter. And if you're taller, maybe like 5'5", 5'6", I believe you should be using like 5 yards to like 5 meter fabrics. Then the type of fabrics to use are like lightweight, breathable fabrics because of the drapes in jilbabs, and also opaque fabric. So I try to stay away from transparent fabrics. So I mostly use lightweight fabrics that are opaque. And the type of fabrics I mostly use are like crepes or duchess. But you can decide to use any other fabrics that fall into these categories that are lightweight, that are breathable, and at the same time, they're not transparent.
So for this tutorial, I'm going to be working with 4 yards of crepe fabric, and these are the measurements I'm going to be working with: my front length, my back length, my head circumference, and then my sleeve. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'll go ahead and cut out my front length and my back length for my 4 yards of fabric. So I'm assuming that's my 60 inches part, and then the long part is my 4 yards part. So what I'm basically going to do is I'm going to cut out my front length which is going to be 63 inches plus 1 inch, and then my back length. So I'll go ahead and cut that out. So I'm just making an explanation with this pattern paper so you can understand better. So for my front leg that is 63 inches, I'm going to add 1 inch for seam allowance, and then I'll go ahead and cut that out. And I'll do the same to my back length also. After which I'm going to fold my front length into two from the 60 inches part, and then I'm going to fold my back length also into two from the 60 inches parts. Then I'll go ahead and place my front length on my back length. So after placing the front length on the back length, we should definitely see a difference in the length of the two fabrics. So this is me trying to cut out my front length and also my back length. Another thing we need to take note of is that the front length is going to be my normal front length plus 1 inch, but the back length is going to be a little bit different because I'll be using 63 inches plus 7 inches. I know some of you are going to ask that. I said 10 inches. Where is the other 3 inches? And that is what I'm here to explain. So for the other 3 inches is going to be for a hijab cap. So the remaining 3 inches is going to be for the hijab cap. So that means whatever you have for your back length, you're going to deduct your hijab cap from it, which is 3 inches. And if I'm working with centimeter, I'm going to do the same. I'm going to use 18 centimeter instead of 25 centimeter because the remaining 7 centimeter is going to be for my hijab cap. So after folding my front or my back, then this is what we have. We can actually see the difference in length. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to divide my head circumference by 4. So that is 20 divided by 4. So I'm going to be having 5 inches at that point. So that's what I marked. Then after marking my hijab cap, the next thing I'm going to do is to take my sleeve measurement. So at that point, I'm marking 30 inches. So even though my normal regular sleeve is 35 inches, I'm going to be using 30 inches because I want an elastic sleeve extension of about 5 inches. So the next thing I'm going to do is to take my round sleeve measurements, which is about 8 inches plus half an inch allowance, so that's 4.5 inches, and that was what I marked there. And then I formed my sleeve curve. Then from there, I'll just go ahead and take a straight line to the last edge of the fabric. So on the last edge of the fabric, I'll go up by 3 inches. And from there, I'm going to connect to both the front edge and also to both the back edge. And this is just to form a regular jilbab curve at the bottom hem. Then I'm just going to cut out the markings. So after cutting out, we should have something like this. Make sure you raise up your front to cut it so you don't cut your front with your back length. So for my hijab cap, I have 45 inches long fabric and the length is about 45 inches and the width is about 8 inches. So I'll be folding this into 2 and then folding into 4. So after folding into 4, the next thing I'm going to do is on the folded edge there, I'm going to mark 4 inches. After which I'm going to come to the open edge and I'm going to mark 2 inches. So I'm just going to form a diagonal line from the 4 inches point to the 2 inches point. After which I'm going to cut it out. So on opening it up, we should have something like this. So the next thing I'm just going to do is to stitch from that point to this point and then do the same to the other edge also. And then for my main jilbab piece, I have it right side facing each other, so I'll just go ahead and stitch the sleeve part. I'm going to leave the sleeve opening and then I'm going to stitch the sides also to the last part, and I'll do the same to the other edge of the jilbab piece. Then for the sleeve part, I'm going to turn it to the right side and I'm going to iron it flat. So for the sleeve, this is what we have after ironing. The next thing I'm going to do is to attach the hijab cap to the hijab piece. So to do that, I'm going to notch the midpoint of the back jilbab piece and I'm going to attach from that point to the notched part of the hijab piece, of the hijab cap piece, right side facing each other. So that's the midpoint of the back piece. I'm going to chalk it and then I'll pick the hijab cap, the notched part, and then I'm going to attach it right side facing each other. So I'm just pinning that down and I'll go ahead and stitch. For the remaining part of my sleeve, I have 12 inches long fabric and the width is about 6 inches, and I have my elastic which is about 8 inches. So I'll just go ahead, form my elastic opening and then attach my elastic to the opening. I did for one sleeve already, so to make it easier to attach the elastic, I'm just using a pin and then I'll go ahead and pull it inside the elastic hole, after which I'm going to just stitch on the elastic to hold it together. So I'll just stitch on the elastic to hold it together. So the next thing is just to fix the elastic to the sleeve opening, right side facing each other. And then I'm going to hem the remaining part of the hijab opening. To fix the sleeve, you just take the open edge of the sleeve and attach it to the sleeve opening, right side facing each other. So I'll just go ahead and stitch that. After stitching, this is the final outcome of our jilbab piece. I'm done hemming the neckline and this is how the jilbab looks. So you can always use it like a niqab and use it like a regular jilbab. So that's all for this tutorial. For more tutorials, you can check out my playlists above. If you enjoyed this tutorial, don't forget to like and share, and you can drop your questions in the comment section and also your thoughts about this tutorial. So thank you so much for watching till the end, and I will see you in my next tutorial inshallah. Assalamu alaikum. Bye for now.